Welcome back to another episode of the Bastards of Boston Baseball. We, like you, hope that this season is nothing like the last few seasons. With more spending comes more hope, expectations, and responsibility. We'll recap each series and talk about the highlights and the aw shucks moments. This is going to be the most honest Sox podcast you're going to hear. No BS, just the truth. I'm your host, Charlie Smith, coming to you from sunny Los Angeles. You can find me on X at Smith_MLB. Also joining me on the show are Jeremy Schilling from Boca Raton, Florida, and Terry Cushman from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Jeremy, how are you doing? And where can the fans find you on X?
I'm extremely frustrated, and you can find me at JTShill20 on Twitter. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
Sounds right. And Terry, how are you doing? Where can the fans find you on X/Twitter?
I'm pretty disappointed. I thought we were in good shape here. The middle two games, I thought we were heavily favored. Jack Leiter, I thought we'd get to him, and then the Bueller matchup against Maley, I thought we were favored. So we'll get into it, but wasn't our weekend. I can be found at Cushman MLB. Terry Talks Sox on Facebook, and you can find us literally on just about any platform. So Red Sox dropped 3 out of the 4 games. We are in last place in the American League East. Doesn't really mean a lot after the first series, but every other team has at least 2 wins. Yankees are at the top with 3 wins, even though they cheated all weekend long. We'll get into those bats on Hot Take Tuesday, but yeah, that's what it looks like at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I thought worst case scenario, let's temper the expectations like a little bit. I went in thinking this was going to be the best team in the American League. Let's just split the series and then just start the party. It didn't really go that way. So, without further ado, Terry, why don't you lead us off with your stud for this series?
All right, we're going to save the best for last. The guy I'm going with is Connor Wong. Just had a real dud of a series. I got a new board here. So he was 1 for 12 on the series, only 1 hit in the opening game of it on Thursday. 4 strikeouts, but what made it especially painful was on the Friday game 2 of the series, second inning, Campbell singled, who had an amazing weekend, by the way. Abreu walked. There was 1 out in the inning. Wong comes up to the plate and grounds into a double play. So you had a chance to put 2 on the board there. Not a good at bat by Wong. Later on in the 4th inning, Story, Campbell, and Abreu all singled right in a row. Bases loaded. Wong comes up, grounds into another double play. So wasn't a good game for him. And then today in the finale, multiple runners on base in the 2nd inning. Campbell and Abreu, the 2 hottest guys in the series, are always going in front of him, and he's not plating them. But he popped out there in a big spot. And then in the 8th inning, we're down by 1. It's getting really late. You need a critical run. Wong comes up again. This time it's Bregman and Abreu on base, and had an ugly strikeout. So not a good series for Wong. And I'm going to say this. If you're not a plus defender, you better be a plus at bat, because what are you bringing if you're not either? You saw Gary Sanchez all those years in New York, was never a good defender, but his bat kind of kept him relevant, and he did a lot of damage there in New York. So Wong better get it together, and we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he was bad. He was 1 for 12. Added 4 strikeouts in there. The situational hitting for the team the whole weekend was absolutely terrible. First and third, man on third, 1 out. Bregman's in third today, and Campbell had a really good at bat. It was close to a 10-pitch at bat, but just couldn't get the ball in play. And I feel like Wong was on a lot of those situations like Terry was highlighting. I'm not worried about the player. I think he'll be fine. One of the actually better hits, the situational hits in the series was Narvaez, is how you pronounce it. Had a RBI knock on Saturday to score a run. But Wong was brutal, terrible. And I agree with your take, Terry, that he's got to be a plus offensive player to warrant him being the catcher for this team all year long. With that said, I think he will hit, and I think he will be the catcher as we approach late September.
Yeah, I was disappointed too. Connor Wong was not the only bat that just flat disappointed, but you'd like to see a little bit. And as you so eloquently put it, if you're not going to be a defensive marvel, you need to be able to do something more with the bat. That just wasn't the case in this series. I mean, it just with the expectations so high, I would have thought that we would have come out with guns blazing and we would have been able to do a little bit more. But I'm almost kind of wondering, like, what other adjustments needed to be done? And it's just like one team came ready for this start of this year and the other one just did not. And you weren't facing 4 elite starters on the other team. There's really no excuse for it. So I'm hoping that after going 1 for 12, you really right the ship and you're able to get a couple of multi-hit games in the next series, because if you can't, yikes, this isn't going to be the start of the season that any of us had predicted, and definitely not the one that I projected at all. Anything else that you want to add, Terry? You're muted.
It's gonna take me half the season. Campbell and Abreu were so hot all weekend, and hopefully either Wong figures it out or they find somebody who can hit behind them. You know, and I'm not like an extreme pessimist on Wong, but he got pretty cold in the second half last year, and they kind of cut him a break. They kind of solidified his future a little bit by trading Kyle Teal, who had a monster weekend, by the way, on whatever AAA White Sox affiliate that was. And so, yeah, I don't know. We got to figure it out. He can hit for power. He's been a good situational hitter in the past. He's got wheels on the bases. So let's just get it together.
Completely agreed. Jeremy, who'd you have for your dud for this series?
So my biggest back and forth mentally is not overreacting to a 4-game set to start the season. When you have multiple last place finishes, it just becomes really difficult because you're squeezing so hard to be competitive. I think that's from the clubhouse perspective, and I think it's from the fan base. However, I'm already at my limit with this guy, Tristan Casas. 1 for 16, 6 strikeouts, and a base on balls. He's clearly going to hit in the middle of the lineup. I mean, they didn't move him. They didn't, give him the break today. They gave it to Story. So he's your first baseman, and he is going to be a red light if he can't put the ball in play. Not to mention when he does, he runs like he's a refrigerator. People that listen to this podcast know how I feel about this guy. I think his personality is an issue, or is going to be an issue within the clubhouse. The commentary in the offseason about making decision on where Devers should play and what prospects should play or go down, and then you come out and you just don't look ready. So I don't want to beat a dead horse because I've been on Casas's back for probably about a year now, but just a terrible start to the season. 1-16 is inexcusable. And he's going to get a break because another guy on the roster actually had a worse weekend, which is implausible unless you watch the games. So my dud is Tristan Casas. I can't stand.
And just for the record, you're 6'6", 6'5". Yeah, you're bigger than Tristan Casas, so that's a lot of extra weight to carry if you're Tristan, right? As opposed to like a Charlie, which is like a half a Jeremy.
Well, are you referencing the fact that like his shape?
No. I'm just referencing like you have been on him. Like you really, I'm just making a joke of it. Bad joke, I guess. But like, I mean, I feel like, well, actually, I want to hear what Terry says first before I go off on Tristan. So Terry, you have the floor.
Yeah. Am I worried about him performance wise? Not really. He's prone to slow starts.
I am.
It's ugly that it coincides with a couple of other players' slow starts, but he is the number 4-hole hitter for the Red Sox, and that's a key spot. That's where David Ortiz was hitting for a while. JD Martinez. It's your job to drive in those three guys in front of you. So he needs to figure it out. Strikeouts, not great this weekend. Struck out 7 times. His only hit was in the Saturday game. Only drew 1 walk. So, he's typically one of those guys. He's an on-base machine. He probably does have, even in a slump, he's one of the most elite pitch recognition guys. So I think he's going to turn it around. This Orioles series would be a good place to do that, and perhaps maybe get off to a quicker start in terms of things. But hopefully it's not going to be like, the last couple of years. And 2023 was obviously far more brutal, but not a good series for Casas.
To that point, Terry, about elite pitch recognition, he got absolutely screwed multiple times on clear bad calls.
I mean, that's gonna, yeah.
Key at bats, guy on third. I mean, he got absolutely screwed in that at bat. I think it was on Friday. I mean, terrible. I saw the after action ump report, and confirmed by whoever runs those reports, just missed calls in big spots. Go ahead, Charlie.
Thank you. So here's the thing. The biggest thing, we bad joke saying, you've been on Casas for a year. I feel like we've all been on Casas for over a year, right? We've all been really annoyed with the antics, and some of them have nothing to do with baseball. It is what it is. But you're allowed to get away with certain things if you perform. When you don't perform, you are going to be criticized in every capacity. 1 for 16 with 7 strikeouts sounds like you should be the worst and the second worst bat on the team. I expect Casas at worst to have a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. You're already well over 2, and it's the first series of the season. So that's a flag for me. Pitch recognition is a huge part of the game, and I know he likes to talk to himself, and yes, that's going to happen. It sucks that it happened in this series, that he got screwed. But for those that watch enough baseball, these umpires have not had a very consistent strike zone. And now more than ever, I really feel like players should be able to tap their helmet and be like, I disagree with that call, because in any inning, you're going to see 2-3 calls that are just way off. Tristan Casas with another series like this will flush his $100+ million contract down the drain, because this is going to be his year. You're healthy. You have no excuses. You're 25. You're right before your like prime years of where you're going to be expected to probably have the best output of your career. And you going 1 for 16 with half of your at-bats, or almost half of your at-bats, being strikeouts, you're a 0 in the lineup. And you guys already mentioned it. When you're batting third, when you're batting fourth, you have one job. You're supposed to get runs in, move people over, and not be just a bad bat in the lineup. You cannot afford to strike out twice in a game on a consistent basis. You can't afford to strike out in half of your at-bats in a series, because there's probably going to be 1 or 2 times on the average of every 2 games. I'm going to say maybe 1 game you have 2 and 1 game you don't have any. So on average, maybe 1 a game. You're going to be expected to do something in at least 1 of those 2 games. You're not giving us anything right now. And I get it. It's only been 1 series. I'm not going to hit the panic button yet. But if, midway through April and we're still, he's 1 for 16, so his batting average is under 80, literally 0.80. That's it. There are some that are at 0 right now. I'm not going to start panicking until the middle of this month. If we're still going 1 for 8 or 1 for 16 with half of your at-bats being strikeouts, major flags, major problems. It sucks that this happened, but if it sounds kind of weird to say it like this, if Tristan Casas was not the, if Tristan Casas was the only guy, I'd be more concerned. But because it wasn't just him that just severely underperformed, there's got to be something wrong. Like the timing is off for literally everybody. And it's not like this team only had a week of spring training. So I'm not making excuses for them. They've got to put up. And right now it's just not getting done. So again, I'm willing to turn the page because it's only been 4 games. It sucks that it went down the way that it did because all the bats went quiet. Jeremy, this was your dud. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, there isn't a scenario as we sit here today where I would be offering Tristan Casas an extension.
No way.
And to your point, the at bat and the numbers are one thing, but it's the result. Like if he was driving the ball and he had a couple balls caught on the warning track, okay. Like Bregman in this series was 4 for 17, but he had 3 absolute missiles right at an outfielder. Easily could have added 3 doubles or base hit, and then he's 7 for 17. So when I look at the numbers on Bregman, I say, all right, average start, that's fine. But when you look at the actual like eye test, swing looks good, balls in play, hard contact. I'm not worried about Bregman, obviously, different player, different background. But just he's not driving the ball. He looks
Bregman,
terrible.
I mean, here's the other thing too. I was content that Bregman actually stole a base in the first series of the season. Didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think he had it in him. Bregman has not been known for stealing bases. So to your,
I don't.
it's just another element. Like the bat's not working. Yeah, you hit missiles at outfielders. That's a part of the game. It just sucks that all 3 went there. I saw 2. I didn't see the third one. But I'm happy that he's trying to add a different element to his game because he clearly sees, hey, I know how much I'm being paid. I need to perform. I need to try to do something else to try to, make myself visible here. So, I mean, it was a crap series. It sucked. It wasn't fun to watch. It was tough. And, I'm more than happy to turn the page right now. Anything else that either one of you two want to add to Casas?
Yeah. So the one nice thing about 2025 is you're not going to see a lot of deviation in the top 4. I think it's pretty set in stone as long as they're healthy. Duran's going to lead off. You're going to have Devers in the 2-hole, Bregman 3rd, Casas 4th. Most likely that's going to be how they run it. And I mean, Bregman got on base 4 times in front of him. And there wasn't anything Casas could do. We're going to get to the other guy who was batting in the 2-hole, that probably should have been on base 2 in front of him. But, yeah, so he's got to get it together. The second thing of note, I don't think it's relevant. I don't think a play will get made. But you know who had a really good weekend?
Abreu.
Well, a first baseman, Nolan Arenado. Was 5 for 11, hit a dinger today, drove in a couple runs. He's there. Like in an emergency, if the Red Sox are willing to take on some money, it won't take much to get him. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the best thing for the team at this point, but I'm just saying he's still out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we've said, it's been 4 games, and if the roles had been reversed, we'd be singing a different story, right? So if, halfway through the month, after a month, Arenado's hitting 330 and he's already scorched 6 over the fence, and, Tristan Casas still can't sniff a $150 with 1 home run and 3 RBIs. Yeah, I'm going to be eating crow for what feels like the 15th time this year, and we're at game 4. So, yeah, I mean, it's early, and you're not wrong. I didn't see the home run. I actually wish I didn't know that, but it is what it is at this point,
Let me say one other thing about Casas. He's quietly just, putting the work in right now. We haven't had one weird Casas story. So if there's any positives, we can go with that, and hopefully he just locks in and gets it done.
Yeah. My dud for this series hurts to say because I didn't think that we'd be here 4 games in with this being his stat line. And everybody on the planet who's a Red Sox fan knows exactly what I'm going to say. And Jeremy had mentioned that you thought 1 for 16 with 7 strikeouts was bad. There's actually someone that did worse. And that's Rafael Devers, who I love. I love Rafael Devers. I've said it multiple times, years. He's going to be a stud more times than he'll ever be a dud. But this is the dudliest of dud performances when you have 3 sombreros, including the one of the golden variety in the second game of the season. You started the year off 0 for 12 with 10 strikeouts. And yes, you had a walk, and yes, you had an RBI, but you finished the series 0 for 16. You got 12 punch outs. You've struck out 75% of the time. You've drawn a couple of walks. I'm a little bit nervous. I know it's only been, again, 4 games, but this is, I don't know if we've ever had a superstar player have 3 sombreros in a row. I don't even know how to look that up. And literally you'd have to go line by line for each all-star. Like Nomar, I don't believe Nomar ever struck out 3 times in 3 straight games. David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, I don't think either one of them struck out 3 times in 3 straight games. When we had, I'm going off of names over the past 10, 15 years. Like Jason Bay, when he was here, I don't remember him doing it in 3 straight games. Granted, he was only here for a year. It felt like a cup of coffee, really. Even the nightmare Carl Everett, I don't think he struck out 3 times in back-to-back games, let alone 3. So, I mean, it was a disaster first series for the Red Sox. There were a lot of disappointing games, situations. Some were our fault. Some were, caused by just bad calls. It was just a bad series. I mean, you can't possibly have done worse. I mean, if he didn't get an RBI and he didn't draw any walks, I think this might go down as one of the worst 4-game sets by a player, in Red Sox history, if not the worst. So here's the thing too. If you're Rafael Devers, you're at rock bottom. You're 0 for 16 with 12 strikeouts. You can't possibly do worse. So the only direction for you to go in is up. So I guess for that, I'm finding the silver lining of, okay, we've scratched the bottom. We're done with this. Let's try to, bring the angle up here, because we can't continue to fly right now where we are, because we aren't going to win any ball games. We need to have our top performers perform, and an 0 for 16 with 12 Ks is not going to get it done. So I sincerely believe that this is rock bottom for him. There was a very emotional, tumultuous situation that happened during the offseason with are you the third baseman? Are you not the third baseman? And then there was a tune that kind of changed where he was more accepting to becoming the designated hitter to allow Bregman to becoming the third baseman. But that whole situation, and I've said it before, was not done well. It was not done with grace. And above all else, was not done with a lot of respect. And I get it. People are going to say, this is a business, buck up. But you paid the guy $300 million to be your third baseman. And I do think that this is playing in his psyche, and this is playing in his head of, this team doesn't think I'm good enough to be their third baseman. They paid me all this money to just hit the ball. And I really do think that this is one of the issues that is going through his head. If he's the third baseman right now, maybe he would have had 1 error, 2 errors. Maybe we don't even win the first game of the season. But I don't believe that he would have gone 0 for 16 as well. Granted, his spring training was like a blink of an eye. He didn't play the full spring, and I get it. But at the same time, I want to believe, and I need to believe, that there were other things that caused this just monumental collapse of a series for Devers. Terry, why don't you go first, and then we'll wrap it with Jason or Jeremy.
Yeah. So the ugly thing about it was he wasn't even making contact. Like, he was missing. And Tyler Mahle isn't a hard thrower. He's in the lower to mid 90s, and Devers just couldn't find ways to make contact. And the first game happened, he was 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, and then halfway through game 2, that was the Golden Sombrero game. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I hope this doesn't become a big story. I hope this doesn't become a huge distraction here. You could see him kind of sulking in the dugout, and Alex Cora doesn't look normal to me in the dugout. Like, just something seems off about this team, and I can't put my finger on it. This is the best roster we've had since 2019, and they're not acting like it. Like, the Yankees dominated all weekends. The vibes were way different out there. Mookie Betts hit this epic walk-off, I think in the 9th inning of Friday night's game. And these teams are just vibing. And here we are, one of the best rosters we've had in a long time, and we're not. And a big part of that is Devers. And game 3 on Saturday, that was a 1-run game. You lose that one 4-3. Today, you lose it 3-2. If Devers had a key spot in either of those games, maybe the outcome is different. Maybe we're 2-2 in the standings right now instead of 3-1. It's painful. And here's the thing. Papelbon after the game said, maybe he's out of shape. Maybe that's the big thing. And I agree with that because, yeah, he only had 14 at-bats in spring training. But guess who had only 6 more at-bats than that and just absolutely crushed it all weekend? It was Willie Abreu. So that's only a difference of 6 at-bats. So he's out of shape. I don't doubt that the drama with Bregman was a factor here. It really messed with him emotionally. He hasn't been a good defender. Devers has, as I've pointed out, but no one's ever questioned the effort. He's always put in the work. He's just not a skilled, third baseman. He doesn't have the range the other guys have. And, it is what it is. And it wasn't a good series. I will say the last couple of games, he did ground out on Saturday. He made contact a couple of times on Sunday, not for a hit. But the big takeaway for me is this, and I'll hand it off to Jeremy. He doesn't look lost at the plate. Like, he's recognizing balls and strikes, and he's had some good takes in there where he didn't swing, at a ball he shouldn't have swung at. So he's not lost, but he's just not up to speed. He can't catch up to a lot of the pitches coming at him, and that's what needs to be addressed here. And hopefully it's just a matter of a few games and, he's able to, kind of attack the pitchers that are coming at him. So we'll see. We got a lefty on Monday, so I don't know how that's going to be. Typically he hits okay against lefties, but I don't know if the timing of that is super ideal, given the 0 for 16 start. But this was the worst start in MLB history, by the way, with, I think, what was it, 10 out of 12 strikeouts in his first 12
It was
at-bats.
10 out of 12. Yeah, that game, by the way, I saw that Mookie Betts home run. That was the game that had a couple controversial calls in it. One of them was also, I believe, at home plate where Manuel Margot was running around third base, and they originally ruled him safe, and then upon review, he was out. And that game looked like it was actually going to break the Dodgers streak, and then Betts rips another one to left after losing 23 pounds this year because he has norovirus. That's another thing. That was another untold story. The guy's down to like 150 pounds. He's really small. Crazy.
Well, here's where I'm at with Devers. I don't think that I disagree with you guys. I don't think the Bregman Devers Cora thing is affecting him now. I think he's over it. His body language in the dugout at the end of games, from what I've heard from the locker room, is a guy just frustrated with his own performance. Where I think the issue is he let it bother him in his preparation while he was simultaneously coming back from from injuries. And so I think his preparation was shortened. And while he maybe only had 6 less at bats than Wilyer Abreu, I don't know. Was Wilyer hitting off a tee? Was he hitting live BP? Was he doing the things, working on a swing, even though maybe he didn't get as many at bats? It felt like to me, as soon as Devers was healthy, I remember he hit in a live game against Bueller, and then he was in the next game. So I think they tried to rush his camp to try to make sure he was ready, and I don't think he's ready. I think his timing's off. Clearly, his timing's off, as you mentioned, Terry. He looks totally lost, and baseball is such a mental game. When it goes wrong, it's not just physically, it's mentally, and that's what causes you to snowball into these prolonged slumps. I think he's going to watch film. Cora already mentioned it. They're talking about getting his foot down earlier, right angle, and all these things. They'll watch the film. They'll figure it out from an analytics perspective. The player needs to line a ball, base hit, even if it's caught, and just build forward from there. I'm not worried about him over the course of the season. I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to be here for a long time, and he's going to be one of the best hitters in the American League in 2025. It was so bad, at a time where he's coming off the controversy. And everyone's asking him, media's asking him, fans, people are all over Twitter. It's a lot. He just needs to step away. Maybe they sit him on Monday against the lefty, give him a chance to step back, and then come back on Tuesday ready to hit the ball hard.
I mean, Terry, I think you were the one that posted something earlier, like, "Dear Rafael," like, I don't remember the exact words, like, "Let's just make contact," or something. And it's like,
I was like, let's just hit a foul ball. Let's just
hit a foul. I know. It hurts. It really hurts. Like, it shouldn't be this guy. It really, anybody else, and I'm not hurt, but it's, our like crown jewel on the team, the guy who committed long-term to this team. And it's just, you're gutted. You feel for him. He wants to do the best work possible. It's tough. I mean, there's no other way around it. So oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, there was a picture this weekend of Jason Varitek kind of consoling him in the dugout. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, how much uglier can this get?
It can't.
I hope not.
I really, no. I mean, this is a profession. This isn't year one of his career, Terry. Like, there's no way you're going to see another 0 for 16 with 12 strikeouts. There's just no way. And I could be completely wrong because it's happened once. Could it happen again? Sure. But like, knowing Devers and knowing what he can do, this isn't someone that people are like, oh yeah, we can buzz 3 right down the middle and he's not going to make contact. You give him two down the middle, you're probably going to pay for it on the second one by being asking for new baseball. So it's just, I mean, I'm praying it's just like a minor mechanics change and we're going to invert that, ugly 0 for 16 with 12 punch outs. And I mean, I'm okay. You want to strike out twice in a game. I get it. Like that's going to happen. But when you go 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts and that's your best game in the series, like, that's scary. That's not fun. And it can't happen again. Like, we can continue making an excuse, but like, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be a story that I don't want to be telling anybody.
I just feel like if he can get out of it and, spark something here, I just think it could be contagious. I think Bregman starts hammering away. I think Casas might snap out of it a little bit. I just think it would be contagious. The energy would rub off. But it was so fitting today, though, in the finale. Devers comes up in the 9th, and I'm like, do you pinch hit him here? I tweeted it out. I'm like, do you pinch hit him here as bad as he's been in a 1-run game if his spot comes up? And Jarren Duran was on base. And Cora sent him to the plate, which is probably the right move. And Devers actually drew a walk. He drew a walk. And then it was Bregman that came up and struck out to end the game. So, it's just, I just think it was fitting. The shiny new guy ended it, not Devers, but it was good to see Devers get on base. And like I said, just figure it out. Catch up to the catch up to the fastballs a little bit, because that's how they're going to attack him. They are going to just attack him with fastballs. And I don't know. I don't know what the solution is other than him simply figuring out a way to catch up to it.
Yeah, I mean, should be told, there's literally nothing else that needs to be done. Just make the adjustment. Let's just turn the page, because this was just an ugly 4-game set. Any other duds that either one of you two wanted to highlight specifically before we move into the non-Red Sox portion of this show?
Well, I mean, it was all in the lineup. Pitching was pretty good. I mean, Bueller got tagged for 4 runs, but I mean, that's not terrible. And this should be an offense that can still find a way to keep us in the game. But Hamilton 0 for 7, Rafael 1 for 9, Wong, as I covered, 1 for 12. Trevor Story didn't have a super great series, 1 for 11. Sat out in the finale. It wasn't a good series outside of Bregman, Duran, Campbell, and Abreu. So
for me, I mean, the concern for me was Houck. I mean, Houck got absolutely destroyed, like obliterated in one of his last games before the season started, and then started this year off with a not great performance, gave up a couple home runs, walked 3 guys, only struck out 2, allowed 7 hits, like Bueller, allowed 4 in 5+, but I mean, he's averaging almost 20. Yeah, well, actually, no, counting the 6th inning, not quite, but almost 15 pitches an inning. And you'd think, okay, cool, 15 pitches average, you should be fine. But had he not given up so many hits and not walked so many guys, this is probably someone who throws close to 100 pitches and probably has 7+ innings of a good start. He was a third of an inning short for that quality start. I'm hoping that this isn't, the tale here where he's just going to start getting torched, in the first couple innings of a game. And luckily it didn't happen in his game per se, but I mean, once the run started coming, it was like the barrage, and we just couldn't get out from under it. And it sucks because we didn't do ourselves any favors. We didn't have any big hits. So it's just, or excuse me, outside of like the one single, but like, if you want to call that a big hit, it's tough. Like we've had a lot of points during this 4-game set where we're sitting there like, oh, wow, again. Oh God, really? And that's what it's been for 4 days.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best start for Houck, but it had the potential to be a lot worse. I mean, Jonah Heim tagged him for 2 solo home runs.
He had 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had, yeah.
And then it didn't really get sideways on him until the 6th. And maybe Cora probably shouldn't have even sent him out, but Houck comes out for the 6th. Langford gets a single. So does Peterson. He did manage to get Garcia out, but then Berger hit a double to drive in Peterson, and the wheels just kind of came off. But I think it was a decent enough start to say, okay, maybe he's starting to, level out here and get himself right. So I think Houck is going to have a good season. I'm not all that worried about him.
I hope so too. Jeremy, anything else that you wanted to add? You're muted, my friend.
I'm not worried about Houck long term. I think he'll be fine. The good out of all this is 12 innings pitched by the bullpen, 0 runs.
Ending it on a high note. I absolutely love it. Terry, why don't you lead us off with your stud for this series? Who'd you go with?
All right. So, but before I do, I should point out we're kind of tweaking the format a little bit this year for studs and duds. So, the first half is always going to be the Red Sox, whether they are the studs or they are the duds. But in the second half, we're gonna do the opposite with the team we just played. So we're gonna do Texas Ranger studs here, and I'm gonna go with Jack Leiter. I think he was, am I correct? I meant to look this up before I came on. I think he was the first overall pick the same year we drafted Marcelo. We took Marcelo fourth, and I think Leiter went first to the Rangers.
And forgive me if I'm incorrect. Was Leiter not the same draft as Kumar Rocker?
They were the same draft. They were absolutely
Okay.
the same draft. And I forget who took Rocker, but there were problems with the physicals or
Right.
something. I think he ended up with the Mets somehow, and but then had Tommy John. And Leiter, really, he got called up last year, didn't look super great. I honestly, I thought he was gonna probably get shelled
Right.
in this outing. And while he wasn't like electric per se, I mean, he pitched pretty well. He went, let's see, 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, just 1 earned run, walked just 1, and struck out 4. And he just had a certain energy about him. Like he was in command. He was locating, and just a really impressive outing. And it took him a while to get called up and make that rotation. So being the first overall pick, I'm just wondering what is the ceiling for this guy and how. Oh, he was second.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
who went
Henry
first?
Davis. Henry Davis for the Pirates was number
Oh,
1.
that
Yeah,
was
no, it's all good. So Jack Leiter was 2. We drafted Mayer 4th. I just quickly looked it over because I thought Leiter and Kumar were the same one. Kumar, you're correct, was drafted by the Mets, did not sign because of a failed physical issue, something like that. They didn't like what they saw, so he didn't sign and ended up getting drafted by the Rangers, where some pitchers' careers just go to die. But anywho, yeah, he was pretty up there.
It'll be interesting to see how his season plays out at this point. And if he does, I didn't have the Rangers making the playoffs, and he's kind of a game changer if if he can pitch to the level of a number 3 or so.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy I grew up watching his father pitch. I think he pitched in the bigs for 20 years. Cool story. Great start. I felt like he was always on the verge and we just couldn't get that big hit to break it open. But he did his job, and five innings, his ERA sits at 1.80 after one start. And you're looking at a 5-man rotation with Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom, and then you add a guy in like this with this type of stuff. Rangers are a good team. There could be a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, so not much to add after what Terry said. You go 5 innings, 4 strikeouts. You've almost got that 1 inning situation set up. I also really, really like that he wasn't blowing himself out as far as pitches. Like he's not. I don't want to call him like a nibbler in the sense of like trying to like hit corners and try to keep consistent to like a 12 to 15 pitch inning, because not every pitcher is going to do that from the start. First game of the season, he did his job. That's literally it. There's not much more to add. Anything that you wanted to additionally add, Terry, as this was your stud for the series?
Yeah, I mean, just looking through his minors career, I mean, his first two years in the minors, single A through double A, not great. I mean, a 5.54 ERA in I think he actually started out in double A, and then just kind of scuffled, did the same thing in 2023 between double A and triple A. Actually, he started out a 5.07 ERA with the Texas double A affiliate, and then went to triple A, had an 8.10. So this guy was just looking like a total bust. And then finally last year seemed to figure it out. 77 innings last year in triple A. He had a 3.51 ERA. I'm trying to find the strikeouts. 110. Wow, man. He was just mowing them down. 110 strikeouts in 77 innings. So, like I said, I'll be interested to see where the ceiling is on him. Having the pedigree that he did.
Absolutely. Jeremy, who'd you have?
So I was thinking about taking Bruce Bochy. Their team looked ready. I thought he won the series by going to get Maley in the second inning on Saturday. I thought that was wound up being obviously the right move. I didn't expect it, and I think it was a big reason why they were able to win that game. But I'm going to go with one of the players, DeGrom. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 73 pitches. Um, you get starts like this from this guy, and he's not being relied on as the ace. That's going to be Evaldi, who's probably going to be their stopper and big game pitcher. Um, he only pitched in 6 games last year, 11 the year before that, 15 the year before that, 12 the year before that. It wasn't back until 2019 with the Mets that he made 32 starts. So it's just for this series. I don't know what you're going to get from him over the course of the full season, but if you're a Rangers fan, his start on Sunday afternoon was encouraging.
Yeah, I actually just want to touch up on one thing that you mentioned. So you mentioned about how coming in, Bruce Bochy comes out, they take their starter out in the second inning. I'm sitting there like, all right, finally, we're going to split the series. We're going to do enough. We're going to be able to tattoo this bullpen and hopefully just get the bats rolling. And they end up going 7 1/3 innings combined. They struck out 8 guys, allowed 2 runs on like 7 hits or something like that. But still, like, I didn't pick the Rangers to be number one. They were my second choice behind. I believe I picked the Mariners. So yeah, this is just another one where honestly, Boch probably should be considered a stud. And in fact, he should be an honorable mention just for that decision alone. Yeah, I mean, shucks, dude. This is a situation where their starters are doing their jobs, and for whatever reason, if their starters aren't doing their jobs, they have a bullpen with a guy who we are very familiar with for the last 2 years, and Chris Martin, who is able to strike out a couple each inning that he pitches in. So it's frustrating. I'm happy that Martin's doing well, but man, oh man, their starters just seem to have the answer, and when the starters didn't, the relievers did. Anything else you want to add?
I'll just say I have no idea what to expect from Jake DeGrom coming into this year. I mean, it's been a while since he's pitched. He's not I make fun of him a lot. He's just not really a tough guy. He's going to be 37 years old this June, so we'll see what he can do to salvage his career. With that fully rebuilt elbow, but I can't imagine he's going to be back to a 28 to 30 start a year guy. But the Rangers gave him an insane 5-year, $185 million contract. I know Blake Snell just got something similar to that. So, but at the time when he signed it a few years ago, that was a massive deal. And the Rangers really need Jake DeGrom this year to kind of live up to that. But he looked good today. Went 5 innings, punched out 6, walked a couple. If they can get that from him every time, I think they'll be thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing too. Like DeGrom's last real full season was 2019. That's insane to think about. 2020, obviously you have the COVID year. He pitched 12 games. He played the whole season there. 2021, 15 appearances. 2022, he had 11. And since that, including this game, he has had 10 starts in the last 3 years. So yeah, the elbow concerns are a real thing, but when DeGrom is on, DeGrom is on. And I don't know what to expect from him this year, but I'll say that seeing what we saw, it's just par for the course for what you want to see out of him. And if he can continue building on this, he might just be a 5 to 6 inning guy moving forward, but he's going to strike out more than 1 an inning. He's going to be able to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is able to turn the clock back once or twice this season, strike out 12 or 13, allow only 1 hit. I mean, that's old DeGrom. This guy won a Cy Young I believe he won 2 Cy Youngs, and he didn't do it by accident. So elite pitcher. Texas obviously believes in this guy. They want him to do damage, and he's going to be able to do quite a lot if he can stay healthy.
Still hitting 98 on the gun too.
That's pretty impressive. You know, some people are able to bounce back and be totally fine. Anything else that you gents want to add? Boom. My stud for this series is Adolis Garcia, who started off going 0 for 6 with a pair of walks and then finished the series going 4 for 6 with a pair of doubles, a pair of homers, and 4 RBIs, and basically won one of their games for him, similar to how Wilyer Abreu did for the Red Sox. So finishing up the series 4 for 12. Again, the 2 doubles, the 2 homers, 4 ribbies, the 2 runs, obviously scored twice for his 2 home runs. The really impressive stat is that he did not strike out. Collectively, the team struck out 20 times in the series. He was responsible for 0 of those strikeouts. So while it doesn't seem like a lot to me, that's something that I do put a lot of my money in. I really do. I can appreciate a guy who doesn't strike out that much, and this guy didn't strike out at all. So this is someone who's putting meaningful at bats. He's conscious of what's going on around him, and it just might have been like a slow start, but this guy might absolutely torch it this year. And if he's healthy, the Rangers very well could win this division if he's doing what he's doing right now. If Garcia's not striking out and he's getting extra base hits in a couple games in a series, yeah, you're probably going to lose those games. The guy's got incredible power. I would be terrified to pitch to him. And I wish somebody like this was, playing in the outfield for our team. That's it. Terry.
Yeah, he was a beast in the 2023 postseason. Hit 8 home runs, hit 323 with a on base close to 400. I can't remember if he won an MVP in either round, the LCS or the World Series, but the dude was a monster. Didn't really follow it up too well last year. Had a low 200s batting average, didn't even get on base at a 300 clip. So he's definitely looking to turn it around this year. He also had 177 strikeouts last year. So that's on the higher end. So we'll see. I was trying to get his trade up. I can't find that section of
We got traded from the Cardinals. He
here
was
it is.
He was a Cardinal, and he got traded for there are 3 trades, I think, within the last 5 to 7 years, that, or actually not even 5 to 7 years, that I'm going to say that the teams right now that don't have their superstar are sitting there like, damn it. One of them involves Adolis Garcia. One of them involves Yordan Alvarez, and one of them involves O'Neal Cruz. And none of those 3 players are playing for the team that they should be playing for right now.
Yeah, it looks like the Rangers actually just claimed him from the Cardinals.
I thought it was a trade. My apologies.
I did too, but the Cardinals have had so many blunders over the years. They gave away Randy Arozarena, they gave away Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, Adolis Garcia, just tons and tons of blunders. Heim will fix their farm. I don't know what he'll do at the major league level, but monster weekend for Garcia. I actually do like him. He's got a great vibe, and he's definitely a powerhouse for that team.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 2 games, he was 4 for 6 with 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 4 RBIs. I mean, he was a big reason why they won the series. The one thing that struck out to me is that he didn't strike out, because in his 4 major league years preceding this year, his low strikeout total is 175, and he struck out 194 times. So he's been in between those numbers all 4 years. So if he can cut down on his strikeouts and put the ball in play a little bit more often, he's a super competitive guy, competes defensively. And the thing that I totally agree with you on, and I was going to say, is he's the type of guy you want in your team.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I said. Like, he didn't strike out at all. And Terry, to your point, I mean, at one point one season, he almost struck out 200 times in a year. And the record for strikeouts in a season, I think, is held by A former Diamondback, I think it's Mark Reynolds, who had like 223 or 232 strikeouts in a season, which is insane when you think about it. That's literally a third of your at bats. You're not able to put the bat to the ball. But I mean, because he had 40 home run power, they just let it go. It's crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, Chris Davis, the Orioles player, not the A's player, was notoriously bad for
Super
striking
bad,
out.
dude.
And
Yeah.
Reynolds came from the Orioles too at one point, but yeah. So how about some honorable mentions real quick from the Sox side? Christian Campbell and Wilyer Abreu obviously stole the show. It was nice to see Abreu just absolutely destroy it. That's a great ballpark for him. He was 7 for 10, had 5 walks, hit 2 home runs. If it's not for Abreu, we're swept. We get swept. We're 0-4 right now if he doesn't hit those 2 home runs on opening day. And then the big revelation was Campbell had the worst spring training of anyone in the top 3, of our big 3 rather. And but 6 for 14 on the series, had a hit in every game, just like Abreu did. Hit his first home run on Saturday. Just crushed it as well. It wasn't a cheap one. And so it's good to see. We're going to be getting more into one or both of them in Hot Take Tuesday. So there'll be more in-depth coverage on them. So, stay tuned. We're going to be back on YouTube with that, and the other apps don't know it, but we're going to be broadcasting that one on every app. So probably have a lot of engagement with the audience.
Let me give you a line. If I were to tell you that there was a player that went 6 for 14, had 3 extra base hits, including a home run, 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, did strike out 4 times, and didn't steal a base, not looking, who would you say that was?
Duran
or Devers? You're going 6 for 14 with 3 extra base hits, and that was what Christian Campbell did. Christian Campbell went 6 for 14. He had more hits than Casas, Bregman, Devers combined.
And so reportedly, and it's been widespread reports are saying that he and his camp are in the late stages of a possible extension with the Red Sox. So could happen. If you remember back to last year, Bayo's might have actually been in spring training, but Cedon Rafaela, that happened like second week of the season. So we'll see. And hopefully when he signs, maybe that gets Anthony to do it, perhaps Meyer, maybe even a super long shot with Crochet, despite him having that deadline. So never say never.
I'll say this much. I think getting those long-term contracts done is really going to boost morale in this team. No one's going to have to wonder, am I really going to be here for a long time? And that's one thing that, there's a lot of deferred money in the Dodgers situation. Like they got hundreds of millions of dollars deferred, no question. But these guys are all signed to 10+ year deals. Yamamoto's not going anywhere. Betts isn't going anywhere. Freddie Freeman signed a bigger deal. His wasn't as long. Sasaki's going to be there for the next 6 years. He didn't have a really great first start of the season. But some of these deals, because we're tinkering with these, 1-and-1s, a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, opt out after every year deal. There's only one guy that's on the books guaranteed as far as offense is concerned past 2028. There's only one pitcher that we have on the books. Excuse me, 2, because like you mentioned, Cedon. There's only one pitcher that we have, and that's Bayo. So a lot of these other guys, if they don't extend them, it does give the illusion of, is there one foot out the door already? Do you not really have the buy-in to this team with what they've got so far?
Well, hopefully we start winning and they start doing that. They start buying in.
One other player that did really well against us, and I feel like it was like a get ready to shove game, and that was Nate Eovaldi, who came in and he did what he needed to do, and it sucked to see Nasty go and be nasty, but I mean, this is what's going to happen. He came out, gave you 6 innings, struck out 9. He gave up the traditional 1 home run, but still sub 100 pitches, went 6 innings. His team, unfortunately, did let him down. One of his relievers didn't do him any justice. But again, that was the game that Willie Abreu basically won for the Red Sox. So kudos to Eovaldi. I mean, if he can continue to have like a really great year, I'm probably going to be wrong by July about the Rangers not winning the division.
Well, he just turned 35 and, not a great history of health. Not a guy I root against, though, but I'm skeptical if he'll give more than 22 starts this year. So
right,
we'll see.
Excellent. Well, that is going to do it for the Bastards of Boston Baseball. On this one, we look forward to interacting with all of you soon. Have a great one. Take care.